So I was in my local H Mart, which is the grocery store that is an Asian market where I live. I think they're throughout the United States. And I saw these great little Wagyu slices. I'd assume these are for hot pot or Korean barbecue, but these are just so beautiful, and look at how marbled and incredible that is. I wanted to find a use for them. Normally when I get them, I just pan fry them and eat them like that, but I wanted to do something a little more creative. So I'm going to try and make little Wagyu Gyoza. I'm going to use these wonton wraps. They didn't have nice Gyoza wraps, which are round, which are easy to crimp. So we're going to use these wonton wrappers and just kind of make them similar to how we did the rangoons. I'm also going to throw in some mushroom and some green onion, a little bit of soy sauce and some other things, but we're going to cook these mushrooms down a little bit first in some soy sauce. That way they're more cooked. Gyoza don't take very long to cook in the pan, so pre-cooking the mushrooms will allow them to just be a little more thoroughly cooked. Otherwise they would probably still be raw inside that gyoza. So I'm going to throw them into a nice hot pan, add a little bit of soy sauce, and just cook those down until they're nice and fully cooked. Everything else will be raw. So obviously, you would use ground meat usually in a gyoza. I don't have that, and I'm not going to hand grind this with a knife because I don't have a meat grinder. So we're just going to cut these slices into very small diced pieces of the Wagyu. It won't be completely like a gyoza, so I guess you can also call this somewhat of a fusion dish. This is not a traditional gyoza, but each bite will have a good flavor to it. It just won't be ground meat like a usual gyoza. But here you see the mushrooms are nice and fully cooked at this point. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. That's all the meat I'm going to do. I'm looking to make 6 to 8 gyoza here. And now we're going to chop up this green onion, both sides of it, and incorporate that in. It'll give it a little bit of crunch, and it'll give it a little bit of fragrance as well. But just cut up as much of that green onion as you want. Throw that in. And then on top of that, add in your mushroom. Get all that soy sauce flavor out as well, because that is going to be added flavor into these gyoza. And then we're going to thoroughly mix this. Every bite, you're going to try to grab a little bit of everything. You can do that yourself by hand. I'm also going to put in a little bit of sesame oil. I think that flavor goes really nice and really gives you that essence of Asian cooking. Mix that all up nice and thoroughly. And now we're going to make these gyoza. This is very similar to how we did the rangoon. This is not traditional gyoza wrapping, so don't get all in me in the comments. Unless you want to, I'll take that engagement. But we're just going to fill these up with about a teaspoon's worth, wet all the edges, and we're going to just basically fold these in half. That's the way I'm going to make these, just to make sure that they seal properly. You can't really crimp the edges because these aren't the round ones. They won't work. So take the wet corners, bring them together, push the meat kind of towards the middle, make sure the top seals, and then I like to take it and put it on the flat surface and just get a nice flat bottom to it. That way you could pan fry them really nicely, and that's all you're looking to do. Make a bunch of those. They will cook beautifully. You don't need to worry about any extra dough in the crimping areas. These are perfect. After you make as many as you want, just get ready, get a pan out. That's all you need to do. But this is, I made 4 here. I made another 4, I think, off camera. And now we're ready to cook these. So I'm going to take a small frying pan. I'm going to put in a little bit of oil to start. I know this is going to sound strange in a second, but put the wonton or gyoza in somewhat cold. We are going to add water to this to steam the dumplings a little bit. Water and oil don't like to mix, so I find the way to avoid splattering and all that kind of stuff is to make sure you're mixing them without the oil being rip-roaringly hot. We're going to cover them, and by the time the oil fully, by the time the water fully evaporates, all that will be left is the oil, and you're not going to have any issues with splatter or anything like that. So just get that oil in there, get that water in there, and then cover them. If you need to push the tops down a little bit because they don't fit with the lid, that's totally fine. As you can see here, everything is cooking nicely. The water and the oil are playing friend. It's totally fine. Once that water evaporates, I'm going to throw in a little bit more oil, and I'm just going to keep moving these around to hopefully get a nice sear on the bottom of them. You want them brown, you want them crispy. Just make sure they're not sticking. You don't want them sticking to each other either. And just move them around. Very easy. These are 3 or 4 minutes. You're just looking for golden brown on the bottom. Pop them out when they're done, and here's what you're left with. Beautiful golden brown gyoza filled with meat, mushrooms, green onions. You got some soy, sesame flavors. I'm going to put a little bit of the glaze that I like on there. This is the sweet chili. It doesn't look the best because it doesn't come out as a nice glaze. Top it with a little bit of green onion, and now you are ready to dig in and enjoy these things. These are absolutely delicious. They're so quick and easy. Stuff them with whatever you want. You don't need to do a Wagyu like I did. Use this technique to make whatever you want. I like to dip them in a little soy sauce. You could put a little wasabi in there as well to get a little kick, but look at that. They're beautiful. They're cooked. The meat cooks thoroughly in that 2 or 3 minutes that are in there. And they're delicious. You're crispy, you get the chewiness. Everything here is great. Give these a try, let me know.